So for question one thing that I found was really interesting is that Theseus treated Hippolyta really well, and he really genuinely cared about her so much, versus he ruled over Hermia very harshly. But I also thought it was very revealing about the time period, just how women were treated, because Hermia was essentially ruled by her father about like who she could marry in her life in general. For question two, one value that I found was that entertainment played a really big role in people's lives, mainly those in the upper class, because Theseus demanded that Philostrate find entertainment for him and Hippolyta's guests leading up to the wedding. But being a duke, he had citizens perform for him, almost like they were like a jester. So I thought that it seemed like entertainment was very important to him. And then a second value was that who you married essentially defined who you are and your status and who you were seen as in society, because Aegeus just wanted Hermia to marry Demetrius, even though Lysander was just as wealthy, but Aegeus just favored Demetrius. And he refused to let Hermia choose anyone else, otherwise she'd be sent to the nunnery or put to death. For question three, one thing that I didn't really understand that I had to look up was the Shaphalus and Procus, but then I later find out that it was mispronounced, and it's supposed to be Cephalus, who is the husband to Procus, who out of jealousy deserted him, and Cephalus went in search of her in jealousy and rested under a tree. And so I now know that this kind of ties into the plot where Hermia and Lysander were resting under the tree on their way to go stay with Lysander's aunt so that they could get married. For question four, gender I think was generally seen as something that you were born with and it could not be changed, and women are definitely seen as less than and controlled by the men in their lives, and masculinity was also something to be that had you could take a lot of pride in if you were a man and you were masculine. And then I think it suggests that this play was mainly targeted towards men, just because it talks so much about masculinity and how like the one character like was upset that he had a beard but he was playing a female character, and so he had to get rid of it. So I think this is definitely a play for men. And for question five, I think during those times it was very normal for men to play female roles, but it also might have been kind of strange just because there were characters that were in romantic relationships with each other, and there were two men that were acting in those roles. And then two questions that I had was, if Demetrius had left Helena for Hermia, why wasn't Aegeus concerned that he would do the same thing to Hermia? And then why do you think Helena found it so hard to believe that Demetrius and Lysander were in love with her and Hermia wanted Demetrius again?